Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to Minhaj Welfare Foundation's first ever live broadcast on this YouTube channel. Inshallah, for the next 1 hour, we'll be discussing our ongoing campaign, the Syrian crisis, where Minhaj Welfare Foundation will be providing you an update of our recent tour, our recent visit to the Turkey and Syria border. Alongside this, there's a lot of programs, events that are coming up in the next week or two. One of the main reasons behind those events is to help us fundraise for the ongoing Syrian crisis. Alhamdulillah, for the past 2 to 3 weeks, there's been so many events happening across the country. There's been donors and supporters around the globe who've supported Minhaj Welfare Foundation's ongoing project in helping our brothers and sisters in Syria. In addition to this, we'll have a live question and answer session where our viewers around the world can ask me any questions that they wish to ask, and inshallah I'll try my best to answer those questions as I get them. Our hashtag, if you're on Twitter or Facebook, is MWF Supporting Syria Live. Yes, that's hashtag MWF Supporting Syria Live. If you use that hashtag and alongside that, ask a question, and inshallah, throughout this next 1 hour, we'll be answering your questions. In addition to this, we'll be also taking you and showing you and also letting you know what are the main projects that Minhaj Welfare Foundation wishes to implement and wishes to carry out over the next month or two on the Turkey and Syria border. We'll be telling you the exact packages that we'll be distributing and aiding in assistance to the Syria brothers and sisters. In addition to that, as I said to you, I'll be providing an update with regards to the upcoming events. Alhamdulillah, Minhaj Welfare Foundation has once again launched Raising Smiles 2016. This will take place in Birmingham and Sheffield over the weekend of 16th and 17th of April 2016. We're inviting some young and upcoming Qawwals and Nasheed artists from Paris, MNG Paris, who will be performing some of their classical, tradition and modern tracks and albums. And inshallah, I'm sure those that will be attending this event will be inspired. They will have an evening of entertainment, and at the same time, you will have an opportunity to think of those less fortunate at this moment of time in Syria, and hopefully fundraise and support our ongoing projects as well. So inshallah, like I said, this program will end at exactly 6 p.m. UK time. So once again, I'm very grateful for our global audience worldwide for joining us in this live broadcast on Minhaj Welfare Foundation's YouTube channel. Inshallah, like I said, throughout this broadcast, you're more than welcome to ask any questions that you wish to ask regarding the ongoing Syria crisis. If there's any additional comments which you wish to add, or if there's any particular question that you have with regards to our ongoing projects in the region, then please use the hashtag MWF Supporting Syria Live. We'll have a constant update. There'll be constant questions that we'll be taking as well, inshallah. First of all, brothers and sisters, I want to share with you my recent tour and visit to the Turkey and Syria border. It's important, first of all, that you understand the background with regards to the Syria crisis. As you're all aware, in the year 2011, a war broke out in Syria, where millions and millions of people were left displaced. The war is ongoing. The crisis has increased. Many lives are still at risk. And according to official records that we have from the official United Nations website, the number of people, including young children who are still living in poverty, is, to be frank, is mind-blowing, in the sense of 6 million children are still living in extreme poverty. 6 million children are living in extreme poverty out of 13 million Syrians who are this moment of time affected by the Syrian crisis. We have more than, according to records and figures, more than 4.6 million Syrians are living in hard to reach areas. 4.6 million Syrians are living in hard to reach areas, and 500,000 Syrian people are living in besieged areas. And just looking at some of these figures, the total population of Syria is only about 23 million people. This is the total population. Now, some of the facts and figures which we'll be sharing with you over the course of the next hour and telling you about the situation, some of the facts and figures might overlap one another, but because the level of destruction over the past 4 or 5 years has increased, you'll be quite shocked to hear that so far 11.5 million Syrians are without basic healthcare. 11.5 million Syrians at this very moment of time are without basic healthcare. 13 million Syrians are without protective support. There's no sense of protection for 13 million Syrians. 12.1 million Syrians are without basic water and sanitation, the very basic essentials that we require in our daily lives. More than 12 million Syrians are without basic water and sanitation. This is just some of the facts and figures that we've seen in Syria. Some of these situations have, unfortunately, we've seen some of these images on our TV screens, on our mobiles, on our internet, on our laptops, on our computers and our laptops. Real scary scenes of young children trying to cross the various areas to go into safety. And we're seeing images of young children who have been brutally killed. We've seen images of individuals who've had their limbs unfortunately amputated. We've seen millions of Syrians trying to flee their homes into neighboring countries, Lebanon, Egypt, Libya. Some have gone into as far as Europe. And over the past 6 to 7 months, everybody was aware of the refugee crisis, and especially the millions of Syrians that tried to get into Europe. And unfortunately, a lot of them had suffered, and some of them had died. Minhaj Welfare Foundation launched the campaign in supporting our Syrian brothers and sisters in the year 2012. We initially supported those in Egypt and those living in surrounding areas. But after time, Minhaj Welfare Foundation has seen the situation increasing and escalating. This is why this year we made this commitment, we made this intention of further supporting our brothers and sisters in need. In February 2016, 18th of February 2016, Minhaj Welfare Foundation and its team traveled to the Turkey and Syria border, where currently there are millions and millions of Syrian refugees who are residing in makeshift homes, in camps. Some of the Turkish residents and some of the Turkish people have rented out their homes, their garages to these people. And this is the current situation that we see in that particular area. There are millions more in other countries, Lebanon, Egypt, but Minhaj Welfare Foundation traveled with his team into the area where majority of the Syrian refugees are at this present moment of time, and that is the Turkey and Syria border. Just before I tell you of my story, again, because this is a live broadcast, remember to ask your questions on MWF Supporting Syria live, and to do inform your fellow brothers and sisters, and do inform the global audience regarding today's broadcast as well. So on February the 18th, 2016, Minhaj Welfare Foundation traveled to Turkey via Istanbul. Once we arrived in Istanbul, we took a flight to Hatay province, where more than 90,000 Syrian refugees are living in a small area called Rihale. 90,000 Syrian refugees, some of whom were living in really good conditions in Syria. So some of whom were teachers, doctors, professionals, some of whom had lived a very good life in Syria. But after the crisis broke out in Syria in 2011, these individuals have unfortunately left their homes. They have left their homes and tried to seek a safe haven, or tried to seek a safer environment in Turkey. Once we arrived in Rihale, we saw many Syrian refugees scattered, as I said before, scattered in makeshift camps, in makeshift tents, in homes, in some of the residents in that particular region were kind enough to provide their homes to some of these Syrian refugees. Some of them had rented out their garages to some of these Syrian refugees. We saw thousands and thousands of Syrian refugees whose unfortunately limbs had been amputated, who had missed a leg, who'd unfortunately been attacked by the bombs in Syria. Some of these Syrian affectees were living in rehabilitation centers that were established by some of the Syrian doctors and medical staff that were currently living in Turkey. So as we went into Rihale, we saw this unfortunate situation where Syrians and our brothers and sisters were living in very extreme circumstances, living in very extreme situations where, unfortunately, they did not have basic essentials such as food, water, or sanitation. There was a small scenario which we saw more than 15 people living in a very small room. But this is what the reality is at this very present moment of time in Syria. Once we arrived in Rihale, we visited various locations. We went to the camps. We went to those areas where they were living in makeshift camps. We went to the rehabilitation centers. We went to some of the temporary schools that were established by some of the Syrian people that were living there. We went to some of the orphanages to see some of the orphans that were residing there. We went to an all-female rehabilitation center. We went to an all-male rehabilitation center. So over the 4 or 5 days, we had an opportunity to see various locations and to see various situations of both young and old. Minhaj Welfare Foundation distributed more than 320 food parcels, packages, to those living in those particular locations. 320 food parcels were distributed to 320 families. Inshallah, as the program goes on, we'll tell you what we had actually distributed in terms of items and in terms of the quantity as well. So once we visited some of these locations, for us, one of the most important things working in the development sector and working in the humanitarian arena is that we see a lot of crisis. We see extreme poverty in places like Somalia and Kenya and other regions. But one of the things that was quite unique in this particular circumstances and what was unfortunate in this scenario was that I had never seen individuals whose limbs had been amputated. Neither did I ever see in those scenarios in Africa. But this is something that I'd witnessed when I met the people who had left their homes from Syria. Every single individual that I had spoken to, Every child that I had spoken to, every parent that I had spoken to, they all mentioned to me and they all told me that a relative had died through the bombings, through the attacks in Syria, through some sort of invasion in Syria. Every single person was frightened. Every person was scared. They did not know how long they would be staying in Turkey. Some of these individuals were there for 3 to 4 months and they knew they had to go back someday. They had left behind their parents, they had left behind their children, their spouses, their brothers and sisters, their cousins, their aunties, their uncles. There was still fear there. And the stories which they shared with me, it's unbelievable. Those who are living in the developing world, those who are living in the UK and Europe, for us it's kind of easy because we understand. When we have to wake up 9 o'clock in the morning, there's basic essentials in front of the table. We can turn on the tap where clean water will come out. We can go to work. We can enjoy our lives. But there are individuals who are literally living in fear. They cannot go out of their homes in Syria. And those that were living in Turkey, they were frightened that they wouldn't want their image to be relayed via the internet, or they didn't want the comments to be heard outside that area in case of somebody hearing about that individual back home in Syria, and then their lives would have been at risk, or their family's life would have been at risk as well. So this is something that we'd witnessed and we saw in Rihanli when we met some of the people. And this is the severe situation of the lives of the people who have fled their homes from Syria. My dear audience, my viewers, you are watching a special broadcast of Minhaj Welfare Foundation's live update and their live feed with regards to the ongoing crisis in Syria, where more than 13.5 million Syrians' lives are at risk, half of which are 6 million children lives are at risk. More than 12 million people from Syria are living without basic water and sanitation. Over the course of this next 10 to 15 minutes, we want to hear your stories. We want to hear your questions, and we want to read your questions, and we want to see what you have to tell us and what you have to inform us about the ongoing crisis in Syria. If there's any questions that you have with regards to our visit in the region, please use the hashtag on Twitter and Facebook on MWF Supporting Syria, MWF Supporting Syria Live, on MWF Supporting Syria Live, the hashtag MWF Supporting Syria Live. As you can hear behind me, the telephone line is quite busy. People are donating regularly towards the ongoing crisis in Syria. Just also to mention, this is our first live broadcast, so you might be seeing a mirrored version of the screen, and if that is happening, then we apologize for that. We just had realized that there is some issues with our webcam. Inshallah, when we do it, when we do this next time, I'm sure you'll be able to see the logo in the right direction, because I'm lifting my left hand, but on the screen it might look like I'm lifting my right arm as well. So we apologize for that. But Alhamdulillah, we are very grateful to all of our viewers out there who are tuned in and are listening to this broadcast or are viewing this broadcast. I'm very hopeful that you can ask us some questions, share your thoughts about this ongoing Syria crisis as well. Like I said, Minhaj Welfare Foundation is supporting the ongoing crisis in Syria, where more than 13 million people's lives are at risk. We have two fundraising events coming up here in the UK, in Birmingham and Sheffield. One on the 16th of April 2016, and the second is on the 17th of April, the next day, 17th of April 2016. The first event will be in Birmingham, in Coventry Road, the Rec Centre, and the next will be at Sheffield City Hall in Barker's Pool at 2:30 p.m. So some of these some of these events which have been organized, and some of these events which have been prepared by Minhaj Welfare Foundation are to support our ongoing fundraising campaign, which we are hoping to support more than 1,000 families. Yes, 1,000 families for throughout the month of Ramadan. And inshallah, like I said, we'll be mentioning some of the food packages that we'll be distributing, some of the items that we'll be distributing over the next coming months. So inshallah, for the month of Ramadan, for the next throughout the 30 days of Ramadan, you'll be able to, the people of Syria, they'll be able to have suhoor and iftar. They'll be able to have enough food for the 30 days as well. And also, it's very important that when you are tuned in, that please try to get this message out to the wider public. This is a global message where we have an opportunity to share the reality of Syria as well. So we can hopefully get this message sent out to every single person, whether you're living here in the UK, in Europe, or in North America, or in other regions of the world as well. So let's take some of the, let's see if there's any questions coming up from our live Twitter feed or from our Facebook page as well, where people have an opportunity to ask us questions with regards to the ongoing crisis in Syria as well. So let's see if there's any questions that people have. So we've had a question from Sadia Khan. Did you hear any interesting stories when you went there? Thank you, Sister Sadia, for your question. There are a lot of questions, interesting stories when we went to the camp areas, when we went to the schools, when we went to the orphanages as well. There's a couple of stories where I would like to share. One in particular. On our second day of distributing the food packages and food items to the families, we saw a young family, sorry, not a young family, a very large family. There was at least 5 or 6 children. Their parents had died in the attacks in Syria. They were being looked after by their single grandmother, and she had the duty of looking after these 6 children. There's one particular girl that I spoke to when I went into their home, and we had distributed the food packages, and I was speaking to the girl. Now, for me, this story was quite emotional, because I asked the young girl in Arabic that where are your parents, and she replied, they're in Jannah, they're in paradise. This was quite emotional for me, because the first response and the innocence that we could see in their eyes when she replied, they're in paradise, this was quite common throughout my journey. Every single individual had a member who had passed away. Children had both of the parents killed, or one of the parents had been murdered or been killed in the attacks. And these children, no more than 4 or 5, they did not know the situation, or they weren't aware of what was really happening. And when you've spoken to some of these children, the second thing that they would say, and something which was quite prominent in the trip, when I asked them, what do you miss from Syria? What do you miss the most? And they said they miss their families in Syria. They miss playing in the playgrounds, in the school playgrounds in Syria. They miss that environment in Syria. You see, before 2011, if some of you had the opportunity of visiting Syria, Syria was such a beautiful country. But unfortunately, now what we've seen is Syria divided. We've seen the infrastructure destroyed. Schools have been destroyed. Hospitals have been destroyed. Nobody has an opportunity to go out during the day. They're in fear their lives might be at risk. So some of these are stories that we'd seen and we'd hear when we'd visited some of the camp areas and some of the homes in which some of the Syrian refugees were living in. So thank you very much to Sister Sadia for her question. Brother Zuhaib Akram from, I'm assuming he's in London, has asked us, how comes no Raising Smiles event in London? Well, Brother Zuhaib, inshallah, the two Raising Smiles event that we are organizing in Birmingham, Sheffield, these are our first of many events which we are hoping to organize over the coming weeks. In addition to this Raising Smiles event, let me just take this opportunity to thank some of our sisters. One particular sister who initiated the cupcakes for Syria, Sister Sadda from London, and her husband, Brother Muzammil, who initiated the cupcakes for Syria, where I've heard they spent hours and hours, days and days, baking cakes and distributed them across London. And Alhamdulillah, I've heard more than £1,000 or so. You can correct me. More than £1,000 or so have been raised so far from the cupcakes for Syria. After Sister Sadda's efforts, other sisters from Walsall, Nottingham and Bradford were also inspired and motivated, and they've also started cupcakes for Syria. So I would like to again thank our sisters in those areas and other volunteers across the UK, Europe, wherever they are. I know every single individual has been working day and night to raise significant amounts and donations to support our brothers and sisters in Syria. So, Brother Zuhaib, if you want to if you want to organize a Raising Smiles event in London, you're more than welcome to raise smiles in London. Just get in touch with our team, with the Minhaj Welfare Foundation team, and inshallah together we'll be able to organize this Raising Smiles event as well, inshallah. If there's, again, just to provide you an update, please use MWF Supporting Syria Live on your hashtags, and inshallah as a hashtag along with your questions, where you can have an opportunity to ask us as many questions as possible with regards to the ongoing live broadcast that you are watching on this very moment of time. Minhaj Welfare Foundation is on the ground supporting our brothers and sisters in Syria. Today is a very important opportunity for us to gain more knowledge about the event itself, and at the same time to gain a better understanding with what is currently happening in the region itself as well. I've had a lot of questions. There's been a lot of queries about today's broadcast as well. Please keep your questions coming in. It's sometimes very difficult to be speaking in front of the camera. It's my first time doing this after a very long time, and you literally lose your words. Unfortunately, I can't do anything else which is entertaining. I can't put any music on, neither can I do anything else. Next time, who knows, we'll have some sort of equipment prepared where we can show some of our ongoing documentaries. You can see some of our work online, minhajwelfare.org. If you visit the website, you can see the latest blog and the latest report of my recent visit to the Turkey and Syria border, where Minhaj Welfare Foundation was able to distribute more than 320 packages to 320 families living in extreme poverty in the Turkey and Syria border. Today, Minhaj Welfare Foundation has initiated this live MWF Supporting Syria live broadcast on YouTube. This is our official YouTube channel of Minhaj Welfare Foundation. Please use the hashtag MWF Supporting Syria Live hashtag, and then along with this, you can ask any question with regards to my recent visit to Turkey and Syria. Some of the information which I have in front of me, which I wanted to share, especially with regards to the situation in Syria. Like I mentioned before, there's a very huge and large number that we read when we see the official situation of Syria on the official websites. And I was quite amazed when I read that at least 2.4 million Syrians are living in food insecurity. There's no sense of food being provided to more than 2.4 million people, Syrian people. They do not know where the next meal is coming from. They are unaware of how they will support themselves and their family over the next coming weeks or months. And this is the situation that we see in Syria and the surrounding areas, especially those that have also now fled their homes and gone into neighboring countries. You might ask us, what is Minhaj Welfare Foundation doing to support the Syrian brothers and sisters? Well, Minhaj Welfare Foundation has initiated a food campaign to support at least 1,000 families living in the Turkey and Syria border. Minhaj Welfare Foundation already has been on ground and already has provided more than 320 families with food packages along with clean water. The idea was to assess the situation, to see what is the need. And now, alhamdulillah, Minhaj Welfare Foundation, with the kind contribution and donation from our donors, from our supporters and volunteers globally, with people like yourself who have supported Minhaj Welfare Foundation's ongoing campaign, alhamdulillah, this Ramadan, we want to ensure that more than 1,000 families, yes, 1,000 families have food and clean water for the entire month of Ramadan. So some of the items which we will be distributing, and I'm sorry, it would have been great to show you some of these items, but if you cannot see some of these items, I'm sure you'll be aware of some of these food items that I'm about to mention. It is the same items that we will use daily in our lives, but these items are rare, especially in places like Syria, and especially for the Syrian refugees. But this is something that we want to distribute and help provide for at least 1 month. So Minhaj Welfare Foundation has come up with a very simple package, and it only costs £30. Yes, £30 for 1 month. That's £1 a day. Just take this moment and think about how much you would spend on shopping for at least 1 month. I know we don't spend shopping £1 a day on shopping. We spend a lot more than that. But we are just asking for £30, where our brothers and sisters can live in a very decent situation, and they can live at a very decent and honorable 30 days for the month of Ramadan. So what are we going to be packing for our brothers and sisters? Well, some of these items include rice, sugar, different varieties of lentils, different varieties of spices, ghee, oil, tea bag, macaroni, pasta, tuna fish, dates, clean water, long-lasting milk, and clean water. Some of these items are things which are quite important for the Syrian brothers and sisters. We are hoping to pack at least more than 20 kg of food supply into one big box, where we will be distributing these items to every family. And we are hoping to distribute more than 1,000 families. We are hoping to have 1,000 families to support 1,000 families to ensure during the month of Ramadan they have enough food for suhoor and iftar. You can do a lot. You can ensure that these brothers and sisters have food for Ramadan. How can you do that? Well, simply pick up your phones, go online, or support our future events, where we'll be raising funds and donations to support our brothers and sisters in need. Before I do that, please remember our hashtag. And remember, you have an opportunity to ask us questions. This is a live interactive discussion. I want to hear some of your comments. I want to hear some of your thoughts in terms of how we can make this campaign most successful, how we can reach out to our brothers and sisters in need from Syria, how we can make their lives better, especially as the month of Ramadan is coming as well, inshallah. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your comments. Please use the hashtag publicly on your Twitter pages, on your Facebook pages. The hashtag is MWF supporting Syria Live. That's MWF supporting Syria Live. Use the hashtag, and then along with that, add your question. And inshallah, I'm going through a lot of questions now, where some of our brothers and sisters are, hopefully they'll be posting some of their questions and their thoughts in terms of how we can make this campaign successful. Alhamdulillah, we've just had a comment from Brother Muzammil Rafiq. Alhamdulillah, the cupcake campaign has raised over £2,000. Yes, can you believe that? Just by baking cupcakes, we have raised £2,000 in 4 cities: London, Nottingham, Walsall, and Bradford. £2,000. That means £2,000 will go into our food distribution campaign that we have launched to help our Syrian brothers and sisters. Can you imagine how many families now will have the opportunity to be fed during the month of Ramadan? Once again, thank you to our brothers and sisters, especially our sisters that spend days and days and nights in baking these cakes, and to all those brothers who are helping distribute these cupcakes, and again to all those who have been buying these cupcakes. 100% of your profit has gone in towards supporting and providing food and clean water for the entire month of Ramadan. Jazakallah. Once again, Brother Abdul Qayyum has posted a prayer. He's saying, God bless MWF. Thank you very much, Abdul Qayyum. We've had comments and we've had people retweeting their post. Brother Shahid Nazir, thank you very much for following us and retweeting some of our images. We've had Brother Zohaib Akram, who asked regarding raising smiles in London. Inshallah, just get in touch with us, Brother Zohaib, and inshallah together we can raise smiles and support the ongoing crisis in Syria. Sister Sadi Khan asked a question early on regarding did you hear any interesting stories when you went into the Turkey and Syria border? Inshallah, once again, before the program finishes, I will give you some more stories when I met some of the children, some of the elderly, whilst at the Turkey and Syria border as well. Keep the questions coming along. Keep the questions coming along. Keep your thoughts and keep your prayers as well. Send your prayers, send your thoughts with the MWF, with the hashtag MWF supporting Syria live. I've been requested to make sure you are posting your hashtags on your personal pages and making them public, so at least we're aware of what are the comments that are being posted at this very moment of time. Brothers and sisters, and our global audience, Minhaj Welfare Foundation has also been to Damascus. Our volunteers in 2013 traveled to Damascus, where we distributed some winterization packets to those living in camps in Damascus. The MWF team recently, in February 2016 of this year, visited the Turkey and Syria border, where we had the opportunity to meet some of those in need, those who were living in extreme poverty. After seeing this situation, after seeing this environment, and the environment where some of these people were living in, Minhaj Welfare Foundation has made this commitment that we'll be supporting and providing food and clean water to more than 1,000 families. Alhamdulillah, over the next coming weeks and months, we have arranged various fundraising campaigns. There's one particular event which I forgot to mention, and that is just over the past week or two, some of our sisters and our aunties and our elderly women, they organized a fundraising stall, an event in Walsall in the United Kingdom, where more than £1,100 were raised from these stalls that they had organized in support of the Syrian people. So a big applaud and clap goes to our sisters and our elderly aunties in Walsall for raising an amazing event, an amazing fundraising stalls in Walsall, where you raise more than £1,100. You know, your small efforts are going amazingly. Your small efforts will make a very big difference. They will make such a big difference that you will, by your efforts, you will ensure that families in need will have clean water and food for the entire month of Ramadan. So once again, I would like to thank our sisters and our elderly aunties in Walsall for organizing that amazing fundraising event in Walsall, and for raising such an amazing amount of money to support those in need as well. Once again, let me just give you an update regarding our event that we are organizing in Sheffield and Birmingham on the weekend of 16th and 17th. Inshallah, we've got some up-and-coming nasheed artists and qawwals from Paris, MNG Paris, who will be performing some of the most traditional qawwalis in Urdu, Persian, Punjabi, and Arabic, inshallah. They'll be performing some of their famous tracks in Birmingham and Sheffield, and I'm very hopeful that those who have bought tickets, you will be inspired and entertained with some very beautiful kalam and some very beautiful traditional Sufi singing. Those that have not bought the tickets, don't worry, it's not too late. You have an opportunity to buy tickets, and it's not just for those living in Birmingham or Sheffield. People from surrounding areas, you can also attend. If you go onto our website, minhajwelfare.org, you can go onto the Raising Smiles event and buy a ticket just for £10. Yes, just for £10, you can buy a ticket. All proceeds will go towards our ongoing Syria appeal. And inshallah, in addition to the live qawwali, we are going to have a live fundraising on the day itself, where we are hoping from both events to raise enough money so where we can support 1,000 families. Yes, 1,000 families, so we can ensure that they have rice, sugar, lentils, spices, ghee, oil, tea bags, macaroni, pasta, tuna fish, dates, clean water, long-lasting milk, and other important necessities and essentials which any individual would require. This is something that we have set out already. Alhamdulillah, we made a very good start. Alhamdulillah, our donors worldwide, our supporters worldwide have contributed very kindly and very generously towards our ongoing Syria crisis. I'm very grateful to all of our brothers and sisters who are tuning in at this very moment of time. Remember, this is a live and interactive discussion. Please post your comments, your questions publicly and on your personal pages using the hashtag MWF Supporting Syria Live. Yes, that's MWF Supporting Syria Live. If you have any questions with regards to the ongoing Syria crisis, or if you have any questions with regards to what Minhaj Welfare Foundation has already done, our recent visit to the Turkey and Syria border, you can ask me any questions. Or if there's any questions or queries that you have with our future projects or future programs, then please use the hashtag MWF Supporting Syria Live. I apologize in advance if there's any technical glitches that we've had, or if there's any issues that we've had in terms of this broadcast. I'm very grateful to all those viewers who are staying in tuned. Alhamdulillah, this is the first time we're doing this. I'm not a professional media person, so I ask your forgiveness in advance if there's any errors that I've made, and if there's any questions I've missed out, you can retweet those questions, or you can again send those questions to us directly as well. So let's see if there's any more questions and comments on our Twitter feed or on our Facebook page. Sajid Hussein has at General Secretary PAT UK. Can we add some medicine, a doctor's team at some point to help Syrian people? Yes. Thank you very much to Sajid Hussein, advocate, for your question. Minhaj Welfare Foundation, in addition to food support, is also going to be providing medical support as well. The situation at this very present moment of time is very critical. We have every intention to taking out volunteers, and some of those volunteers can include doctors as well. If you are interested in volunteering for Minhaj Welfare Foundation and visiting those regions, then please email us at info@minhajwelfare.org. That's info@minhajwelfare.org. In addition to the food packages, we have various packages that we have set up for our medical provisions as well. So you can also donate towards medical supplies, basic medical supplies, that we can support our Syrian brothers and sisters as well. Brother Ali Malik, Ali Mike, Muhammad Ali, I think so. His name is, let me just get this name right. Sorry, on the screen it's coming as Ali Mike, at Ali Malik 78786. Yes. What is the Syria crisis? Brother Ali Malik, thank you very much for your question. The Syria crisis first began in 2011. Well, it actually began before 2011. According to reports and according to those who have been working in the area, we've seen the situation increasing and elevating, in the sense that we've had a lot of people who suffered through the climate and through the situation. Before 2011, there was a severe drought in the region in Syria. This unfortunately had an effect on the economical situation in Syria, where a lot of people went without basic essentials such as clean water and food. In addition to this, when the war broke out in 2011, with the climate impact was now a new situation which had affected the people in Syria. That was the political tension. Along with the political tension, we saw the civil war breaking out, where millions and millions of people, unfortunately, saw many people many people leaving their homes. There were IDP camps set up within Syria and outside Syria as well. Once the civil war broke out, this escalated. More than 11 million to 13 million people lives were at risk. We had seen small areas within Syria being divided. Certain areas within Syria had been attacked a lot more than other areas. Places like Aleppo, Halab, some of these areas were attacked more than other regions of Syria. Some of the Syrian people had left their homes. The infrastructure had more or less been destroyed. Hospitals had been destroyed. Schools had been destroyed. And then over the past 2 to 3 years, we had seen the political tension rising. With especially now with the coming of ISIS, have made the situation a lot more serious. where ISIS had got involved, the local political tension had risen, and there'd been a war that had broken out between two of these entities. And unfortunately, the Syrian people, the common man, had been affected by this. And over time, we had seen the general public being affected. Food supply had been stopped, electricity had been stopped, water supply had been stopped. People were leaving their homes. People literally had left everything behind, their money, their clothing, their relatives, just to ensure that they had a safer environment, or they had a safer home elsewhere. And over the past 4 or 5 years, we've seen this happening quite often. So Brother Sajid, thank you very much for your question. And also Brother Ali Malik, whose question was, he asked regarding the ongoing Syria crisis. What is the Syria crisis? We've had a question from Aisha Ahmed. On your visit, how did you communicate with the Syrians? Did you meet any Syrians wanting to learn English so that they can better qualify for immigration into safer countries? Would it be possible for MWF to provide such classes? Thank you very much, Sister Aisha. When I went to the area itself, Alhamdulillah, I'm able to speak Arabic. Not well, but Alhamdulillah, I'm able to speak some parts of the of Arabic, and especially I understand the Syrian dialect as well. What thing that I had noticed, that in those areas, we'd seen a lot of temporary schools that were set up by the Syrian people in those areas. And speaking to some of the children and to the teachers, we'd seen that there was a great interest in education within the Syrians who were living there on the border. There were many schools that were set up on the border areas, and some of these teachers obviously were teaching for free. So we had also distributed food packs to some of these teachers who were teaching free at these schools. There was a big demand of teachers, and there was a big demand of students wanting to gain education. Speaking to some of the teachers, we'd seen the education was quite high in Syria, and they did not want to be deprived of the education, of their own education. So education is a big must, I think, at this very moment of time. Reading some of the facts and figures, we've come across how more than 2.7 million children are out of school. 2.7 million children are out of school in Syria, and 5.7 million children are without education support. So some of this, again, this is a long-term plan that Minhaj Welfare Foundation, after looking at the situation and assessing the situation, we inshallah would want to help provide education to those Syrian refugees and to our Syrian brothers and sisters. In addition to this, we've had a question from Tyra Smile. Is there nowhere safe in Syria where people can go? Speaking to the people in the area and in the border regions, and our communication with the people of Syria, there is nowhere safe in Syria. This is what their comments are. There is nowhere safe. People are living in cellars, in factories, in makeshift camps. They are scared to go out, even during daylight. They do not know if they leave their homes, will they return safe. This is the situation. And this was asked to every single individual who had the opportunity to ask this particular question. Is there anywhere safe in Syria? And there is nowhere safe to go out in Syria. This is the situation. I feel to rebuild a country like Syria will take many, many years. At this very moment of time, the one thing which is required is to support the short-term needs of those Syrian people who have lost everything. We'd seen young children as young as 3 and 4 walking in makeshift camps without any shoes. Some of those had worn the same clothes over the past 2 to 3 months. They were wearing the same clothes. They had no shoes. They had no basic essentials. There was no sense of sanitation in some of those areas. There was no clean water for some of these people. These are things that we need to look at. We need to find ways where we can support the short-term needs. And at the same time, we need to find together. This is something not just a responsibility for one organization or one country. This is a global effort that, which is required in ensuring that Syria goes back to its normal self, and Syria returns back to its glorious days in becoming a safe environment where children can go back to school, people can go back to work. And this is something that together, as a global audience, we need to be more vocal in. We need to campaign for the right of Syrian brothers and sisters that they can go back to a safe environment. This is something that we can do together. You don't need to donate for this. All you need to do is make your voice heard through social media, through YouTube, through Facebook, through Twitter, and ensuring that your voices are heard. And you need to be lobbying your MPs, you need to be lobbying your politicians, you need to ensure that NGOs are really supporting those in need and actually helping our brothers and sisters in need as well. So brothers and sisters, as we move to the end of this broadcast, there's 4 minutes left of this broadcast, where we have some questions coming in. Also, I'll take some of these questions. How much help do the Syrians need? Brother Ari Malik, who's asked this question, and what ages can people volunteer to help? You don't need to be of any age to help those in need. You can be of all ages. You can, as I said, organize a fundraising stall. You can bake a cake for Syria. You can organize a fundraising event. You can organize a fundraising event at home, invite family and friends. You can be as young as you want. There is no age limitation. Whatever you can do to help the brothers and sisters of Syria, please do so. In terms of how much help do the Syrians need, like I mentioned, there's about 13 million Syrians who are in need at this very moment of time. 13 million Syrians. 13 million Syrians. We cannot do this ourselves. We cannot do this alone. We need as many people as possible around the world, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching this broadcast, to see the situation yourself. Everything is present online. You can see the images. You can see those videos of young children dying in the arms of their parents. You know yourself that there are 13 million people at this very moment of time that need your help. They need basic food supplies. They need clean water. They need a better future. Today, Minhaj Welfare Foundation has initiated this campaign online. We're not going to stop now. We're going to continue. We're going to ensure that this message goes out, that we are here to ensure that the voices, that the lost voices of our brothers and sisters in Syria are heard, that more and more campaigns should be organized to support our brothers and sisters in need. More and more donations should be raised to support our brothers and sisters. If you haven't bought your ticket for the Raising Smiles 2016 event in Birmingham and Sheffield, make sure you buy your tickets. You can go onto our website, minhajwelfare.org, minhajwelfare.org, and buy your ticket. If you haven't bought your ticket, if you can't attend, make a donation, make a contribution, support our brothers and sisters in need. And inshallah, together we can see how Minhaj Welfare Foundation, with your support, can help those in need. We've seen a comment now from various individuals who are, mashallah, thanking Minhaj Welfare Foundation for their support and for the kind efforts. Sister Taiba, I think it is, has acknowledged the support to Minhaj Welfare Foundation. A final message before we go. We said that this is going to end at 6 p.m. My voice is literally gone and finished. I've tried my best. I again apologize if there's any errors or if I've said anything out of line. I ask for your forgiveness. And I hope you will support Minhaj Welfare Foundation's ongoing support towards the Syrian brothers and sisters. Before we leave, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Minhaj Welfare Foundation's YouTube channel, and follow us on Facebook, Minhaj Welfare Foundation, and also Twitter. We're on most of the social media sites, but make sure you follow us on our YouTube channel and also on our Facebook and Twitter. Thank you very much to our global audience out there. It's 6 p.m. here in Manchester, UK. Thank you once again to everybody who stayed in tune throughout this broadcast. From myself and from all our team here, Jazakallah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.